Hi there, and welcome to this week's edition of Top End Track Talk. I'm Andrew O'Toole, and today we'll be having a look at this coming Saturday's meeting here from Fanny Bay, which will be the 21st of May. Saturday will be the first of no less than 14 consecutive meetings here in Darwin, with the Adelaide River fixture to be run at Fanny Bay on the 4th of June, adding to the plethora of racing, culminating in Darwin Cup Day on the first Monday in August. It will certainly be a busy time for all participants over the next 10 odd weeks, and even though the fields aren't large on Saturday, there are some interesting races and newcomers to the top end among them. The first race of the half dozen this Saturday is timed to go at 2:22 p.m, while the last is scheduled to jump at 5:20 p.m. In the first, the Karen Brown Fine Art Handicap over 1,300 metres. My numbers are 6, 4 and 1. Going here with number 6, I'm a Puppet, trained by Gary Lafoe and Casey Hunter in the saddle. Gary trained a winner in Tennant Creek last Saturday, and Casey rode 2. She was the leading rider in the Barclay last week, so well done to the team there. They're represented here by I'm a Puppet, 4th up this campaign after about 12 months on the sidelines and getting close to a win, a 3rd and a 2nd at her last 2 runs, and the most recent of those on the 14th of April. Over the 1,300 metres, she should be seen to advantage, and I think she can get back in winning form after a long time. Number 6 on top for me, ahead of number 4, Keen as a Bean, trained by Jason Manning. Good to see Jason back here in Darwin. He spent a few weeks down in South Australia with the team, but he's back. Vanessa Arnott, of course, takes the mount. The 1,300 metres, I think, is what this little mare's been crying out for. That and the fact that she's had a few little issues at the gates, which, touch wood, the team seem to have ironed out. Her last couple of runs have been good. A 3rd and a 4th here in Darwin, and hitting the line solidly in the 1,300, as I mentioned, should be right up her alley. Got her in the mix to run a really good race. And in for 3rd, number 1, Rich Sun. Gary Clark trains. Paul Shires in the saddle. Jared Todd taking the weekend off this weekend. So Sharesies come in for some really good rides. Takes them out here on Rich Sun. Was a winner 2 starts back on the 7th of April. Then a little disappointing behind Red Wine Lover last time out, but allow another chance in the opener for number 1, Rich Sun. In the first, my numbers are 6, 4 and 1. The second's the Tab Handicap. It's the highest rated race of the day, the benchmark 76, also over the 1,300 metres. My numbers here are 2, 5 and 4. Number 2 for me here, Mellors. Gary Clark well represented. He trains this one and also Giant Leap, who's having its first start in the top end, as is Mellors, incidentally. Started in Alice Springs on cup-dated Mellors, and I thought its run was really good behind Star Ruse. Finished 3rd on that occasion. Star Ruse, of course, has gone on and won the Tennant Creek Cup since, so pretty good form lines around Mellors. Stan Sakos, good to see Stan back in the top end. He takes them out, and I thought Mellors, as long as it handles the track, first time of asking in Darwin, would be hard to beat. 2 on top. Ahead of the very much informed number 5, Looking For You. It's won his last 3 starts, has the 7-year-old, trained by Phil Cole, Wayne Davis aboard. Drops in trip from a last up win over 1,600 metres, but that won't matter. 1 Iota's got a really good record at this trip. It's won 4 times from 15 starts over the 1,300 and sure to race well again. And in for 3rd, number 4, Valentina Star, trained by Nicole Irwin, Sonia Wiseman aboard. First start at this trip, but I thought was a horse that could really make an impression here. She's pretty talented on her day, and she should be at a little bit of odds in the second here. So my numbers 2, 5 and 4. The third's the Tab Long May We Play Handicap. We move to the 1,200 metre gate now. This is for the Class 2 gallopers. Numbers here 2, 3 and 1. Number 2, Champs d'Or for me. Last started in Alice Springs. Was in Phil Cole's name on that occasion, but trained by Chris Nash, was trained by Nashy prior to going to Alice Springs, but just put it in Coley's name for convenience sake. Sonia Wiseman aboard. I thought the run in Alice was good. Finished 5th behind Colhoun. That was on Cup Day, only beaten 3 lengths. Simon Miller rode on that occasion. That was in 0 to 62 grade, drops to the Class 2, and I thought Champs d'Or, judged on that last good effort in the red centre, would be hard to beat here. Number 2, head of number 3, Real Reason. Tayan Holter trains and Stan Sakos aboard. Super run 2 starts back when arguably should have won when ridden by Stacey Kello. Then disappointed me last time out when only 5th behind Northern Factor. It was only a so-so run on that occasion, but I'm prepared to allow it another chance. That was second up after a little break, so maybe with that run under the belt would be hard to beat here. And in for 3rd, number 1, Seacom. Gary Clark trains, Paul Shires aboard. Had a run on Alice Springs on the 16th of April, finished a fair way from them, but previous campaign when racing in the top end was really good, with a win, a second, a couple of thirds from his previous 4 starts, so got to have him in the mix. Numbers in the third, 2, 3 and 1. The fourth's the Bet365 Odds Drift Protect Handicap. Another 1200 here for the 0 to 64 gallopers, and my numbers here are 4, 6 and 3. Going here with the last start winner Noble War, trained by Tayan Holter, and Paul Shires aboard. I think I've tipped Sharesy to win the last 3, so probably put the mockers right on him. But Noble War was good last time out. That was second up, third up this time obviously. Should be more improvement to come out of the Tried Horse sale, this little horse from 12 months ago, and I thought would be hard to beat here, number 4, Noble War. To beat number 6, Thunder Peak. Had a run in Alice Springs last time out. Disappointed in the fillies and mares race down there behind Addictions, but I thought back here on the home track, Thunder Peak, Gary Clark trains, Stan Sakos rides, could get back to something like her best form. She was good the start before going to Alice, ran second to Don't Wait. And in for third, number 3, Blue Ant, Tommy Logan trains, Sonia Wiseman aboard. Last couple of runs have been only ordinary 4th placings after a win here on the 19th of March. But I thought it could bounce back here, Blue Ant, in this even sort of field. So I've got it in to run third. My numbers 4, 6 and 3 in race 4. The 5th is the Silks 421 Happy Hour Trobus 3-year-old handicap. We move to the 1100 metre barrier here. This one, the benchmark 3-year-old event. Only a 5-horse field, but interesting race all the same. Numbers here are 1, 3 and 2. It's really created a good impression, has number 1 First Crusade and 2 Darwin starts, trained by Gary LaFaux. Paul Shires aboard. One here on the 14th of April, and then again on Anzac Day, the 25th of April. Both in 58 grade, both over 1100. This is 1100 against its own age group, and I thought it's going really, really well, and well enough to put 3 wins in a row. Number 1 on top for me. Ahead of the newcomer to Darwin, Wilson's Prom. Trained by Gary Clark and Sonia Wiseman in the saddle. Had a trial here recently, and I thought the trial was pretty good. First up on the track, raced by a big syndicate, including probably Top End Track Talk's biggest fan, and Simon Hine. A big cheerio to Simon. We hope to see you up here for the carnival, mate. I know you're coming. Caught up with you in Alice Springs. Always good to see you. And he's a regular viewer of Top End Track Talk as Simon, so hopefully all the boys will give you some borax that I've given you a mention, mate. Wilson's Prom, I thought with its some good earlier form on the board in Victoria and New South Wales, looks a horse on the up here, Wilson's Prom. And then for third, number 2, Super Famous. Good to see Johnny Peacock back in the top end. This little 3-year-old gelding went well for John in Alice Springs with a win, a second, a third and a 5th. Comes to the top end now, and Chippy Nichols goes aboard, Super Famous, so hopefully it goes good for John. Certainly showed enough ability in Alice to be competitive here. In the 5th, my numbers are 1, 3 and 2. And in the last of the half dozen on Saturday, the Sitzler handicap, also over 1100 metres, the benchmark 54. Numbers here 2, 3 and 1. Chief Mondo for me, Paul Shires, looking to have a good day. I think he will. He's got some really good rides. And Chief Mondo's been racing well, getting close to a win, a 5th, a 3rd, a 2nd so far here. And the last start second was behind First Crusade, who we've talked about earlier. I think it's a smart horse. I think Chief Mondo can gain an overdue win here in the top end. Number 2, ahead of number 3, We Will Remember, also trained by Gary Clark, so I'm going for Gary to Cornella, the last. Casey Hunter aboard here. First start in the top end. It's run in Alice Springs on the 1st of May. I thought was pretty good. Finished 5th on that occasion behind Harpooner. Comes to the top end, and in that all-conquering stable, should be in the mix. And in for third, number 1, Star of Monsoon. Hasn't shown a lot recently, but one for odds here in the last, John Peacock and Adam Nichols, the combo. In the last, 2, 3 and 1 are my numbers. Best bet of the day, race 5, number 1, First Crusade. As I mentioned earlier, looks a real smart customer, this one, trained by Gary LaFaux. Chloe Baxter does a lot of work with this horse. Chloe's a shareholder in the ownership, so I've got it on top as my best of the day. Race 5, number 1, while the best roughies in the last, race 6, number 4, Blueberry Boy. Race 6, number 4, Blueberry Boy, a newcomer to the Tommy Logan stable. Well, that wraps up this edition of Top End Track Talk, but we'll be back in a week's time in advance of our next meeting here in Darwin. That will be the 28th of May. Until then, good luck and good punting.